Welcome to the Auditor of State Uniform Accounting Network screencast for creating, managing, and posting payments using the UAN accounting software. For the purpose of this screencast, we assume that you have your entity's basic vendor information already set up in UAN, as well as some existing purchase orders. If not, you may wish to view the screencast for setting up vendors and payees, and the screencast for creating and managing purchase orders. In this screencast, we will cover how to add payments of all types, as well as how to edit, delete, display, and post and print payments. When creating a payment against a purchase order in UAN, there are two basic approaches you can take: importing payment information from a purchase order or entering the information yourself. In this screencast, we will first show you an example of how to create a warrant both by using the import purchase order function and by entering purchase order information yourself. Then we'll show you a second example where we'll create a manual warrant in which we only enter direct charges. Please note that you can use the import purchase order function with any kind of payment you want to create. However, we will show you how to create a warrant payment in the first example and a manual warrant payment in the second to illustrate the differences between the payment types. Electronic payments do not have a separate example as they are entered virtually the same way as a regular warrant. To navigate to payments, select the Accounting module, select the Transactions menu, and then select the Payments function. The Payments area will open to the right, displaying any open batch payments. Posted payments are visible under Accounting, Utilities, Payment Utility. The functions available in this area are Add, Edit, Delete, Display, Post and Print, and the Warrant Printing Radio buttons. The Close button just closes the payments area. Clicking the Add button provides you the option to add a warrant, a manual warrant, and an electronic warrant. We will cover a few of the differences in creating each of the payment types as we proceed. Note that if you create the wrong type of payment to begin with, you'll have to close the Add Payment form and start over. In this example, we will add a regular warrant payment in UAN using the import purchase order function. Again, using the import purchase order function is optional. Note that adding an electronic payment is virtually identical to adding a standard warrant payment into the system. For our example, we will create a warrant by clicking the Add button, then choosing Warrant, which opens the Add Payment form. The Add Payment form is made up of several sections, buttons, and tabs. They are the Vendor section, the Payment History button, the Dates section, the Import Purchase Order button, the Payment section, the Detail and Distribution Data Entry grids, which are displayed in their own tab, the Additional tab, the Save button, which for manual warrants will be replaced by the Post button, and the Close button. Please note that all green fields are required fields for the payment. However, some green fields turn white when you click on them. Don't let this confuse you, the field is still required. To import a purchase order and make a charge against it, three things must be true. 1. An open purchase order or blanket certificate that addresses your intended purpose must exist in the system. 2. The appropriation accounts that will be charged by the open purchase order must have an unspent balance. And 3. The post date on the payment is limited by the dates of the PO or BC. For example, you cannot post a payment against a blanket certificate dated after the expiration date of that blanket certificate. If you find that you cannot complete a payment with a purchase order, one of these issues is probably causing the holdup. For more about the rules of how dates affect POs and BCs, consult the UAN Accounting Manual. To import information from a purchase order or blanket certificate into your warrant, begin by clicking the Import Purchase Order button. The Import Purchase Order form has 5 functional sections. These are Purchase Order section, the Vendor section, the Detail and Distribution Data Entry grids, which are displayed in their own tab, the Import button, and the Close button. We will begin by selecting the PO number we want from the Number drop-down menu. You may limit the PO or BC options available either through your choice of vendor on the Add Payment form or by using the Type drop-down menu to limit which type of PO or BC is presented. When we choose a PO, the Purchase Order section, Vendor section, and the Detail and Distribution Data Entry grids are all automatically populated with the purchase order information. Click on the checkboxes associated with each detail and distribution items you wish to import. Or you can select all items by clicking on the left-hand header checkboxes at the top of the detail and distribution grids. You must select at least one distribution item to import, but detail items are optional. Click the Import button once you are ready to import information or close to return to the Add Payment form. The Import Purchase Order form will close. Once the PO is imported, the vendor information will be read-only unless the PO is discarded. Next, we will verify that we have the date we want this payment to be posted in the Post Calendar menu. The required date defaults to today's date. However, if you need to change this date, simply click on the Calendar menu and scroll through the calendar to choose the required date or type the desired date into the appropriate fields. Note that UAN has several rules for what constitutes valid dates for these fields, which it will enforce. For example, the posting date of the payment cannot be before the issue date of any purchase orders charged on the payment. If you're having difficulties with the dates for your payment, consult the UAN accounting manual. Notice that under the payment field, UAN displays several read-only fields that provide information about this payment. If your undistributed amount does not equal 0, you are not yet ready to post your payment. Confirm that the data for the entries in the detail and distribution data entry grids are correct. You may edit important detail entries as needed. You may add additional detail entries to the payment. When adding information, it's a good idea to input information into all of the data entry line fields, even though only quantity, description, and unit price fields are required. Note that any invoice numbers you add will be printed on the check stub. Click the Insert Row button in the far right hand of the screen, or press the Enter key to include the new items into the detail data entry grid. Continue to add as many items as you need until all items are added to the detail data entry grid. You may also add additional distribution information in the form of purchase orders. To add purchase order information without importing it, either select PO from the Type drop-down menu, or click on the Type field and enter PO. Next, select the purchase order number from the available list shown on the PO/BC drop-down menu. The account code and account name will automatically populate when you do so. Next, enter the amount of the distribution into the amount field. Then, move the entry into the distributions display section by clicking the Insert Row arrow on the far right-handed corner of the data entry grid. If you made a mistake and need to clear the line before you move it up, press the Escape key. If you need to delete an entry in either data entry grid, click the X button associated with that entry. Sometimes you may need to record or provide additional information about a payment. Click the Additional tab and provide additional notes about the payment in the Purpose text field. Review your warrant information to ensure that it is correct. Next, click the Save button in the lower right-hand part of the form, or click the Close button. Note that if you have not saved your work when you click the Close button, UAN will prompt you with a message asking if you want to save your work. Click Yes to save your work and close the form, No to close the form, or Cancel to continue working. In this case, we will click Cancel and continue working. Click the Save button to record the payment. When you click the Save button, UAN will save your work, display a message that it has saved your payment in the lower left-hand part of the screen, and clear the screen to let you add more regular payments. Note that while your payment has been saved, it has not yet been posted. We're done creating a payment for purchase orders. In this example, we will create a manual warrant using only direct charges. Note that there are two things to know about making manual warrants. First, you may need to supply the check number for the warrant to UAN. Second, you cannot save manual warrants as a batch job. They are immediately posted when completed. To add a manual warrant, click Add, then Manual from the Payments area. UAN will remind you of the next available warrant number. This number should be the same as the number of the warrant you will be writing. If you need to enter a larger number, UAN will mark any skipped warrant numbers as being voided. Click OK to continue. The Add Payment form is made up of several sections, buttons, and tabs. They are the Vendor section, the Payment History button, the Dates section, the Import Purchase Order button, the Payment section, the Detail and Distribution Data Entry grids, which are displayed in their own tab, the Additional tab, the Post button, and the Close button. Please note that all green fields are required fields for the payment. However, some green fields turn white when you click on them. Don't let this confuse you. The field is still required. To begin, select the vendor field and choose the vendor from the drop-down menu, or click on the vendor field and enter a brief vendor name for the payment. The drop-down menu will offer you suggestions for any vendors already in the system. Notice that the location information stored in the system is automatically populated if only one location exists for the selected vendor. If you require information about previous payments to this vendor, you may click the Payment History button. Doing so will open the Payment History form and display a read-only listing of any payments to this vendor, including post dates, payment types, and other details. Click the Close button when you are finished. Next, we will verify that we have the date we want this payment to be posted in the Post Calendar menu. The required date defaults to today's date. However, if you need to change this date, simply click on the Calendar menu and scroll through the calendar to choose the required date or type the desired date into the appropriate fields. Note that UAN has several rules for what constitutes valid dates for these fields, which it will enforce. For example, the posting date of the payment cannot be before the issue date of any purchase orders charged on the payment. If you're having difficulties with the dates for your payment, consult the UAN accounting manual. Notice that under the Payment section, UAN displays several read-only fields that provide information about this payment. If the undistributed amount does not equal 0, you are not yet ready to post your payment. In addition, for manual warrants, you are required to input the number for the check you are writing into the number field. This number must be greater than or equal to the number UAN gave you earlier. Also, entering the correct check number is important for tracking the payment, which will make bank reconciliation much easier. Next, we will input the detail and distribution information for the manual warrant. Add detail entries to the payment as needed using the data entry lines, and click the Insert Row button in the far right hand of the detail or distribution grids to add the entries, or press the Enter key. It's a good idea to input information into all of the fields even though only quantity, description, and unit price fields are required. Note that any invoice numbers you add will be printed on the check stub. Continue to add as many items as you need until all of the items are added to the detail data entry grid. To add direct charges, either select Direct from the Type drop-down menu or click on the Type field and type Direct. Before you select an account code, please refer to the appropriate chart of accounts to look up which codes can be directly charged. Note that UAN does not differentiate between accounts which can or cannot accept direct charges, so it is important to confirm which accounts can accept direct charges. Next, select the account code to use from the Account Code field or type in part of an account code. The drop-down menu will offer you suggestions for accounts already in the system. The account name will automatically populate when you select an account. Enter the amount of the distribution into the Amount field, and then move the line into the Distribution Data Entry grid by clicking the Insert Row arrow on the far right-hand corner of the grid. If you make a mistake, you may press the Escape key on your keyboard before inserting the line to clear it. If you need to delete an entry in either data entry grid, click the X button associated with that entry. Sometimes you may need to record or provide additional information about a payment. Click the Additional tab and provide additional notes about the payment in the Purpose text field. Review your manual warrant. This review is especially important for manual warrants as they will not be saved as a batch job. Manual warrants are immediately posted. Next, click the Post button in the lower right-hand part of the form, or click the Close button to close the form without saving any changes. Note that when you click the Close button, UAN will prompt you with a message asking if you want to post your work. Click Yes to post your work and close the form, No to close the form without posting your work, or Cancel to continue working. In this case, we will click Cancel and continue working. Click the Post button to post the payment. When you click the Post button, UAN will save your work, clear the screen to let you enter more manual payments, and post a note in the lower left-hand part of the screen notifying you that one item has been posted. Your posted manual warrant may be found in Accounting, Utilities, Payment Utility. We're done creating a manual payment. To edit payments, select the checkboxes of the entries you wish to edit in the Payments area, then click the Edit button. The Edit Payment form will open with your existing payment information. As with adding new payments, all required fields are displayed in green, optional fields are white, and read-only fields are the same color as the background. To edit a field, click on the appropriate field to add or change an option. You may click directly on Detail and Distribution Data to edit the information. Note that under the Detail and Distribution tabs, you will not be able to edit any automatically populated information, such as the subtotal or account name fields. If you wish to delete a detail or distribution entry, click on the X associated with that entry. Next, click the Save button in the lower right-hand part of the form, or click the Close button. Note that if you have not saved your work when you click the Close button, UAN will prompt you with a message asking if you want to save your work. Click Yes to save your work and close the form, No to close the form without saving your work, or Cancel to continue working. In this case, we will click Cancel and continue working. Click the Save button. Clicking Save in edit mode does not clear the screen. Instead, it will advance you to the next payment you selected for editing. If you selected multiple payments to edit, you may scroll between them using the navigation arrows at the bottom left of the screen. The total number of payments will be displayed in a format similar to the one displayed here. Click the Close button when you are finished editing. To delete batch payments, click on the checkboxes of the payments you want to delete, and then click the Delete button. UAN will prompt you asking you if you really mean to delete the selected payments. Click OK to delete those payments from the system, or Cancel to avoid deleting those payments. If you click OK, the payment will be removed from the system entirely. Note that the system will not reuse the deleted payment batch number. The deleted batch number is permanently removed. Posted payments cannot be deleted from UAN. To display payments in read-only format, click on the checkboxes to the left of the payments you want to look at and click the Display button. The Display Payment form will appear showing the first of the payments you selected for display. If you selected multiple payments to display, you may scroll between them using the navigation arrows at the bottom left of the screen. Click the Close button when you are finished viewing the payments. To post and print payments, begin by checking that your printing options are set correctly in the lower left-hand part of the Payments area. Your choices are Print one warrant per vendor and Print one warrant per payment. Make sure the option you need is selected because you will not be able to change this option once you begin to post and print your payments. Next, click on the checkboxes to the left of the payments you want to post and then click the Post Print button. You can select any combination of warrant and electronic payments to post. UAN will prompt you to confirm that you want to post the selected payments. Click the OK button to post the selected payments. When you click OK, you will be prompted to enter the next warrant number. Review the warrant number and make any necessary changes. Note that if you enter a number greater than the recommended warrant number, UAN will void any skipped warrant numbers. Click the OK button to continue. After the selected payments have been posted, UAN will bring up the print screen and prompt you to choose a printer. If you have selected any warrant payments to post, UAN will remind you to load the checks with the check numbers to be printed into the printer. You must print the posted payment. When ready, select your printer and then click the Print button to print the warrants. If you've selected any electronic payments to post, UAN will bring up another print screen and prompt you to choose a printer, and remind you to load plain paper for the vouchers that will be printed. After this step, the payments will no longer be visible from the payments area. Posted payments will be visible from the Accounting, Utilities, Payment Utility. Once UAN has printed all warrants and electronic payments, UAN will prompt you asking if all items printed successfully. If everything printed successfully, click Yes. If you need more copies or anything did not print properly, click No to open the Payment Utility for a chance to reprint vouchers or reissue warrants. See the Payment Utility screencast for how to reprint and reissue payments. To close the payments area, click the Close button. Whether you are working with regular or manual warrants or electronic payments, the process for managing any kind of payment is similar in UAN. The key points you will want to remember for managing payments are: 1. Be sure to fill out or at least verify all of the green required fields. 2. When in the Add Payment form, the Save button will clear the screen after saving your information so that you can add more payments of the selected type. 3. The undistributed field of any payment must be 0 before you can save the payment. 4. You may use the Import Purchase Order button to quickly add one or more line items from a purchase order onto any kind of payment. 5. Recording the correct check number when creating manual payments is important for tracking your check and payments. 6. Posted payments may be found at Accounting, Utilities, Payment Utility. Thank you for using this UAN screencast on creating and posting payments in UAN. For further information, you may contact the UAN support line at 800-833-8261 or by email at uan_support@auditor.state.oh.us.